Scotty Reed here with a Black Talk Radio News report, and we're going to take a look at the recent comments of Ben Carson. Now, Ben Carson, this isn't the first time that Ben Carson has claimed that enslaved Africans were immigrants who came here and worked hard. He is no dummy. The man's a brain surgeon. I'm sure he knows the difference in the definitions of slave and immigrant. I'm pretty sure this man ain't stupid. I'm pretty sure this man is not looking upon those undocumented workers that's coming across the border and thinking that they're slaves. No, they're not slaves until the GO Group and Correction Corporation of America gets a hold of them. Then they're slaves. But he know that, and not to put it on undocumented, but any immigrant that come here. Here is the thing though about history. Now, a lot of us will say, all black people came over here as enslaved Africans on a slave ship, and that's just simply not true. In 1850, the census showed a population of about 500,000 free black people usually lived anywhere from the South Carolina coast or North Carolina coast on up into the Northeast. They tend to live in coastal communities in the early 1800s. Now, all of those 500,000 people were not the descendants of enslaved Africans. Some of them were freed. They obtained their freedom and all that. But black people from Africa immigrated here. We hear a lot about the Moors. The Moors, you'll see pictures of them helping George Washington and the rest of them racist crackers do what they was doing. The Moors did help them do that, but they were immigrants. They came here too. So black people immigrated here just like the English, just like the Scottish, just like anybody else. You had Africans who migrated to the colonies and worked their way up, made a life just like everybody else. So let's not go to that extreme and paint false history or alternative history and erase these free black colonists out of the history books, because they're not in the white man's history book. They're not in your public school. They don't talk about any black colonists. They don't talk about the fact that George Washington almost lost the Revolutionary War. If it was not for him finally lifting his racist ban on Continental soldiers, black colonists couldn't join the Continental Army until the last three battles. Once they joined, they made quick work of the British, and America won the day. And you see how Thomas Jefferson and the rest of them racist crackers repaid them free black colonists and what have you. But Ben Carson, this is a picture of Ben Carson along with Donald Trump at their recent visit to the African American Museum. Now look at the exhibit that they're standing in front of. It says Nat Turner striking for freedom. Now there's Ben Carson right there with the arrow pointing at his balding head. But here he has seen these exhibits at the African American Museum, and he still comes out his mouth foul, trying to say that enslaved human beings were immigrants. They voluntarily came over here like everybody else. They worked hard. They dreamed for this and that. They dreamed of freedom, and they were willing to kill to get their freedom. And so how are you going to stand in front of the exhibit of Nat Turner and hear about how him and his fellow enslaved victims rose up and was cutting the head off of crackers and killing them as many as they could in an effort to get them their freedom? No different than what George Washington and them said they was fighting for and using violence to obtain their so-called freedom. But this is proof that Ben Carson is not ignorant. And if you saw a video, I tried to find it, I couldn't find it, but there was a video when they first came in. I think they had first came in, but they were Thomas Jefferson. They had a statue of Thomas Jefferson, and behind Thomas Jefferson, I think it was 600 or 800 names of the human beings that he enslaved on his plantation. Thomas Jefferson even wrote letters where he referred to his victims as capital and how his wealth increased with every person born into slavery on his plantation. And so the I don't know what you would call them, the guide, I guess, the history guide, you can hear them telling Trump that everybody wants to, we love the words of Thomas Jefferson and all this about freedom and liberty and all that. But this hypocrite, now he didn't call him a hypocrite, but I'm calling him one. But this hypocritic devil enslaved over 600 to 8. There was Ben Carson standing right there with his wife, Donald Trump right there, and then Donald Trump. This is why I say, man, white people, some of these white people, when they be quoting these racists, enslavers, many of them rapists, land thieves, mass murderers, and what have you, and then they want to quote them because Donald Trump has quoted Thomas Jefferson. But again, there is Ben Carson in front of Nat Turner's exhibit there at the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. They just visited a week ago. And so this week he coming out his mouth talking about enslaved Africans were immigrants. This man knows that. What is he doing? He knows that's not true. Why is he rejecting that knowledge that he was just made aware of? Okay, I know they don't teach you these things in these public school systems, so I'm willing to give him a pass on that. But you just went to a museum, got educated on it, and you still coming out your mouth like that. Now, again, I believe Ben Carson is just trying to score points with the conservative crowd who, like down in Texas, they're putting in their public school books that Africans immigrated here and they were interns and all of that revisionist history, that alternative history. So Ben Carson, shame on him. Anytime that you see this man, you should act like he don't exist. You shouldn't attack him. I wouldn't even verbally abuse him. I just look at him and shake my head and turn my back on him in shame. And he'll get the message. He'll get the message. I wouldn't, any of you HBCUs, you better not invite this man and pay this man to come speak to no black children, and the rest of you universities. What kind of crap is this? All right, this is what proxy racists do. This is how they get jobs, how they get butter biscuits from their slave masters. All right, is by working with the slave master to make sure the system of slavery remains in place. So this is Scotty Reed with a Black Talk Radio News Report. Support independent black media. Go to blacktalkmediaproject.org and make a tax-deductible donation to our nonprofit, our new media education organization. Also, for more commentary and independent black media, go to blacktalkradionetwork.com. This is Scotty. I'm out.